Alright, I'll admit it. When the NBA announced another new All-Star format, my first thought was, here we go again. The last 2 years were rough. Not kind of boring rough, historically rough. The kind of rough where the scoreboard moves and you still feel nothing. And last year somehow went even lower. I still don't know what to call it. A game? A concept? A long commercial where someone occasionally dribbles? I'm serious. I've watched preseason scrimmages with more edge than the 2024 one, and that's saying something. So, going into this one, my expectations were underground, and you could feel the broadcast trying to sell it, like a waiter insisting the cold fries are still hot, if you believe. But I'll give credit where credit is due. The USA versus the World theme finally gave the night a pulse. Okay, quick pause. If you're into honest NBA breakdowns like this, make sure you hit subscribe and drop a like so more fans can find the channel. And tell me in the comments, should I do a full video on the NBA dunk contest and the three-point contest next? I'm thinking about breaking down what worked, what didn't, and whether those events still feel special. Alright, back to the game. Not perfect, not clean, but competitive for real stretches. And that already puts it miles ahead of what we've been getting. Even the little stuff mattered. Guys were calling switches, hands were up, people actually sprinted to the corner instead of drifting like they were waiting for an Uber. Those who are not subscribers, picture the NBA trying to save a party at 1:45 a.m. The music died. People are ready to leave. Adam Silver walks in like, relax, I've got a new idea. And for most of the night, it actually worked. Here's the problem though. We also got robbed a little, not by effort, by injuries. Look at who the world team was missing or limited. Nikola Jokic was clearly not right. A knee issue cost him all of January. Then an ankle problem shows up and he ends up playing only about 5 minutes total. Luka Doncic was dealing with a hamstring issue. Same story, about 5 minutes. Giannis Antetokounmpo didn't play at all because of a calf strain. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the reigning league MVP and finals MVP, didn't play either because he's managing an oblique injury. Also, shout out to the coaches because they had to juggle minutes like it was a real rotation, not a charity run. So when people say the world didn't look better tonight, yeah, you're basically watching the world without 4 players who are usually the reason the world scares the USA. You could argue those aren't just the best 4 on the world roster. That's close to the best 4 players on the planet right now. And still, even with all that missing firepower, the world had Victor Wembanyama, and Wemby made something uncomfortable feel obvious. That best player alive list might need to be rearranged sooner than people want to admit. Because for most of the night, Wemby was the best player on the court.
Feels like home for him. That was right in the grill of his teammate. Oh, Wemby clears the space.
The only time he wasn't was when Kawhi Leonard turned into an old highlight tape that suddenly got uploaded in 4K. Game 1 set the tone fast. World versus USA. Overtime. Tight score. Real energy. The world loses 37-35 on a game winner by Scottie Barnes, which is funny in the most awkward way possible because Barnes hits it for the American squad against his Raptors head coach, Darko Rajakovic, who's coaching the world team. That's a weird handshake after. Wemby, though, was the engine. He led all players in that game with 14 points, added 6 rebounds, and swatted 3 shots in about 13 minutes. But the best moment wasn't even a block. It was Wemby's face when Barnes hit that shot. Not polite frustration, real irritation. Like he came to win a pickup game and someone tried a trick shot for the win.
Spread out. Oh, for the win. He's got it! Scottie Barnes! And look at Victor.
I loved it because effort is the entire All-Star problem. Pride is the missing ingredient. Wemby brought it immediately. Then, Game 2. Americans versus Americans kept the night rolling. The Young Stars team goes on a 7-0 run late, and you can feel the energy shift. Anthony Edwards makes the kind of play that changes a game. He gets a steal, then hits a 3 to give his team the lead with under 20 seconds left. That's when you realize, okay, this format is forcing real endings. Then the second game ends the same way the first did. A shot you actually care about. De'Aaron Fox hits a buzzer beater to win it 42-40 for the Stripes team. 2 games, 2 finishes, and neither one felt like charity. Then Game 3 is where it gets tense in a different way. Old head USA Stripes versus the world again, except Luka and Jokic don't log a single second in this one. The world is basically trying to survive on Wemby's oxygen. And it's not enough to win. They need to win by 3 because of the point tiebreaker. That's brutal. It's like telling a team, you don't just need a stop, you need a stop and a turnover and a fast break too. Wemby comes out like he took the math personally. He drops 11 quick points and helps the World open a 27-20 lead. Then he sits, and Kawhi Leonard flips the entire game in seconds. 3 straight threes. No warm-up dribbles, just catch, rise, splash. The game goes from controlled to chaos. Suddenly, it's 29-29.
How hot? Oh, this is going to be white hot.
Then he hits a baseline jumper. Then he keeps going. It's NBA Jam fire mode. And it's wild because this is the last place you'd expect Kawhi to go full machine. Kawhi ends game 3 with 31 points on 11 of 13 from the field in just 12 minutes. That stat line sounds fake even when you say it slowly. Wemby ties it late. But of course, Kawhi hits another 3 for the win. So the night sets up an All-American final game. And this is where the air leaks out. After 3 tight games, the final is a blowout. The Young American Stars team races to a 12-1 lead, 12-1. That's not a slow start, that's an announcement. They keep pouring it on, go up 26-9, and the final score ends up being 47-21. So the night ends on a stinker, and that's the one part that hurts, because the first 3 games were genuinely fun. They had endings, they had tension, they had a reason to watch the final possession. The format still has issues. It's disjointed. 4 mini-games instead of 1 big story? And I'm still not in love with the 3-team setup, but the USA versus World angle matters. It adds pride. It adds a little, you think you're better than us? And the 2 games that included the World were easily the most compelling. That's why the injuries matter so much. If the World is healthy, the whole night probably plays differently. The matchups change. The meaning changes. The final probably isn't a walkover. Still, none of this works unless players decide to compete. And yes, I know it's an exhibition, but nobody tunes in to watch jogging either. The league can change rules forever. At the end of it, all-star basketball rises or dies on pride, on whether someone treats a late possession like it's real. Tonight, a few guys did. Wemby did. He set the tone in game 1, attacked game 3 like it mattered, and looked genuinely mad when they lost. That's what you want. Anthony Edwards did. He made big plays, brought energy, and didn't treat defense like a rumor. And then Kawhi answered the bell in the biggest way possible. Which is funny because Kawhi was an initial All-Star snub this season and was ultimately a late addition. Then he shows up and turns the night into a reminder. Oh yeah, this is what it looks like when Kawhi decides to play. In the end, Ant takes home MVP honors. And if you zoom out, even with the rough final, this night still feels like a win compared to the last 2 seasons. Not because it was perfect, because it was watchable. Because 3 straight games came down to the final shot. Because for once, it felt like somebody cared before the last 5 minutes. Now, the real question is simple. Do they build on this next year and keep the pride part alive? Or do we slide back into the version where everyone jogs, nobody guards, and the only suspense is whether the final score hits 200?